If your ads aren't working, there's only three possible reasons for it. And those three possible reasons are A, W, and S. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what those three are and how you can fix each to make sure that you can get your ads working and scaling. All right, so number one, in AWE, the number one, the A stands for your ads, right? And this is probably the number one thing that you thought I was going to be talking about. It's probably actually all of them, right? You think that the reason your ads aren't working is because of your ads themselves. And that's only one part of the equation. But we're going to start here because it's the one that's the most sexy and exciting, and the one that I can jump into the ad account and show you some, real examples of some ads and the click-through rates and, the ROASs and what you can expect there. And so overall, with your ads, you want to have some things dialed in, right? You want to make sure your campaign is set up properly, and you want to make sure you're seeing, good cost per clicks that are ultimately going to be getting the right people to your website in order to consider buying your product. So if we look at some different examples here, we can see in this case, for this brand, we spent $8,000, right? And you can see our cost per click here for a conversion-based campaign, which is what you always want to have your campaign set up for, is currently $1.06 cost per click. Now, if we keep on going over here, we can see our cost per add to cart is amazing. We have a 2.47 cost per add to cart, a $6 cost per checkout, and we have a $91 cost per purchase, which is giving us a ROAS of 10 currently, right? And so our average order value for this business, though, is quite high at $910. But you can see here, our cost per click, if you've ran ads before, isn't anything too crazy or special. And our click-through rate isn't anything too crazy or special either at 1.19. Okay, another example here on the lower end. This is a brand new brand that just started advertising very recently. And you can see they spent $75 on this campaign right here to generate $325. They've generated 8 sales right here. And if we go across, we can see they have a 2.37 click-through rate, so a much stronger click-through rate. And they also have a 0.42 cost per click. And that's resulting for them in a total cost of purchase of $40 and about 8 sales so far at $787 with a 2.42 ROAS and a 1.16 conversion rate. And so the main difference there, right, you can see the average order value for them is only $98. So a pretty big difference in ROAS right here. But what we're looking at in terms of the ad quality right here is you can see there's a big difference there, right? Even though this brand actually is running better ads, their product is resonating with more people, it's a more mass consumer product, they have a really strong click-through rates, they have an even better cost per click, right? It's over half as cheap as the other brand that I just showed you right here. But because of that, I mean, the ROAS still isn't quite as strong just because the average order value, isn't quite as high. And so the main reason that I show you this is to say, when looking at your ads, it's important to understand your click-through rates and your cost per click. That's really your two main proxies for ad quality. Okay, and so the last example here is, this is a brand we were running ads for, and we actually stopped running ads because it's a seasonal brand and their metrics were creeping up to the point where they just weren't profitable. And so for them, as you can see right here, they currently were spending about $50 a day, right? And we scaled that all the way down because it wasn't working. $4,700 in spend, $74 cost per purchase right here. And you can see we had, it's a decent click-through rate, but our cost per click was just getting to be much, much too high, resulting in, our cost per landing page view was really high. Our cost per add to cart, our conversion rate on the ads was actually going way down, right? And ultimately resulting in a $74 cost per purchase and about a 1.67 ROAS, which for them was honestly getting pretty much under break even. And so it just didn't make sense to run the ads anymore given the seasonality. And so those are the different things that we look at. And this is kind of how we look at the funnel to see, are our ads effective? Is that cost per click in range of what we want to see? And so for us and our, D2C e-commerce brands, we want to see that closer to $1. Under $1 is where we're starting to get into a really great range because we know those ads are resonating with people. The click-through rate is closer to 2%. We're getting cheaper clicks. Facebook wants to show our ads to more people, and that's going to result in, really healthy metrics after the click in terms of landing page views and add to carts, because we're doing a good job in getting people interested and clicking on our ads, right? And Facebook does really reward that. And so you do want to be looking at these two metrics mainly as the effectiveness of your ads. Okay, and so another thing that you could be looking at when it comes to the actual ad quality right here is go ahead and sort by your amount spent at the ad level, and you can look at all of your ads right here. And as long as they have enough spend, it's actually going to tell you, if you go ahead and customize your columns, add in the quality ranking, add in the engagement rate ranking, and the conversion rate ranking. And ultimately, if these are average and a few of them are above average, you're going to have a good quality ad on your hands right here. Essentially, it's Facebook saying and telling you this is a good quality ad. Our community is engaging with it. It thinks that everybody who sees it is high quality for the most part, and it's getting a strong conversion rate, which means it's very relevant to the audience that it's showing it towards. And so Facebook will reward you with cheaper CPM, cheaper clicks, and a better CTR, ultimately giving you the best chance at a strong ROAS. Right? And so if you're seeing ads with a weak CTR, with a high cost per click, right? Of course, you can look at restructuring your campaign structure to improve your results. But the main thing outside of campaign structure and everything like that, Facebook's already going to have its AI, and it's going to set you up for success. You want to look at your ad creatives, you want to look at your offer, you want to look at your copy to improve your actual ad results. Okay, and so the ways to improve your ads then are your structure. So of course, that's a lot of the videos I make on this channel are talking about structure, how to better structure your ad account, how to better test ads, how to set your campaign and your ad account up for success. But then you want to look at your copy, your creative, and your offer, all parts that you can improve your actual ads to get better results. But again, that's only the first part of actually fixing your ads. And the second reason that your ads may not be working is your website. Okay, so your website. And what do I mean by website? I mean specifically your cost per add to cart, right? So at what rate are people adding to cart, your checkout, and ultimately your conversion rate, right? So how much are people converting when they hit your website? Are they being effectively convinced essentially that what you said in the ad is actually true on the website, and it's interesting and priced well enough and a good enough offer that it gets people to buy today at a strong rate, right? And so again, as far as average conversion rates go, you want to be aiming for closer to 2% and above, right? 1% is pretty average. So you want to get into, a higher range, 1.8, 1.9, 2, everything above 2, 2.5, 3, starting to get to really strong conversion rates that are not typically. And so again, looking back at the example brands that I just showed you right here, first of all, what we have is the conversion rate for this brand with the 10x ROAS, right? And so in this case, they have a 1.31 conversion rate, which given their average order value is actually quite high and quite strong. And so if you have a high average order value, you can expect obviously a weaker conversion rate. In this case, this is very strong for them, above 1%, closer to 1.5 with that average order value, obviously gives them a really good return. And so 1.31 in this case. Again, if we go to this new brand that isn't spending very much, they only have a 1.16, which again is very average, even below average. And so this is a great area to look at to see how they can improve their ad results, is just simply by improving their conversion rate. They need to make their website more compelling. They need to improve, their email marketing and actually getting people into their kind of customer retention flows. Overall, that's going to improve their conversion rate dramatically, and adding in more testimonials and more urgency on their website. Okay, and so if we look at this other brand that again wasn't that we had to turn off, that wasn't scaling because of the seasonality, you can see in the earlier months, right, where we were actually scaling, we were getting a $62 cost per purchase here. We had a 1.86 cost per click, and if we go over, we had a 2.9% conversion rates. Even 9% on this one campaign, only one sale though, right? And that was resulting in about a 3.2 ROAS for us. And then again here, in the last 14 days running this campaign, we only had 18 sales at a 1.2 ROAS. Our conversion rate was still not bad at 2.71%. And so we can kind of effectively diagnose that the conversion rate wasn't necessarily the issue. It was dropping, but it wasn't horrible. But the main thing was actually the ad cost was rising, right? And so the cost per click was going up dramatically, right? The CTR was going down. The cost per landing page view was going up. The cost per add to cart and things like that were going up. And so ultimately, all those things combined dramatically decreased our ROAS overall, and it made it so that we couldn't scale this and we couldn't continue to advertise. Okay, and so if you have a website issue, here's the main things that we suggest that you do to improve your overall conversion rate. And that is look at retention-based marketing, so SMS, email marketing, getting their email, getting their information. You're paying for the people to actually go to your website, so you need to actually try to maximize the information that you get from them. Even if they don't buy anything from you, it's free to get their email, and that can give you remarketing for life. And that can help increase your conversion rate dramatically because you're building that brand based off of only that one click that you paid for them to come to your site, right? And so then you also have urgency, right, which would include, including a limited time offer, including some reason for them to buy sooner than later. You also have the overall design. So this would include the, professionalism of your website, how well and on brand it is, the copywriting. Overall, the design makes a big difference. And if you have a $1 million website versus a $10,000 website, people are going to feel safer, more confident, and more that you're like a legit brand that's going to get the best experience if your website is also legit, super on brand, super professional, right? That's kind of common sense. And then you have proof lastly, which is testimonials, reviews, just outstanding and undeniable proof that ultimately your product does what it says it does and people are loving it and enjoying it and they're going to have a good experience. That's a huge thing. And these are all the different ways that you can really improve your overall conversion rate. Okay, and the last reason why your Facebook ads might not be working is your economics. We've already kind of touched on this in terms of your ads and looking at the website and stuff like that and the difference in the ROAS between different brands. Not so much based on the ad results and the cost per click, but a lot of the difference in the ROAS was based on their business economics, which really comes down to their average order value and their profit margins on their business. And so we use something called a paid ads scaling calculator doc to really understand our business economics. And that comes down to a lot of your average order value, so what price you're charging. And so increasing your price a lot of time can really dramatically improve your ad results and overall profitability. Also, improving your lifetime value is a huge when it comes to your business, right? The one example I showed you that at 10 ROAS, they have a lot of repeat customers. They have a lot of people coming back. Part of our ads are getting attributed some of those sales as well. And so if you have a large lifetime value, right? And so let's say in this case it's 400, that's going to make the economics of your business so much better suited for ads because you can be aggressive in acquiring customers knowing they're going to make you so much more profit in the back end once you get them in the door, right? And next with that is your cost of goods sold. And so right away, increasing your average order value decreases your cost of goods sold, right? And so that's huge, right? Improving your profit margin overall, essentially. And then you also have payment processor fees, transaction fees. These are usually fixed, so no changing that, but also shipping costs and fulfillment costs, right? If you have a high shipping and fulfillment costs, that's really eating into your margins as well. So trying to reduce that down is also a great way to reduce, your overall costs associated with selling a product. And obviously the bigger you are and the more you scale, the more you can probably get down, your actual cost of goods sold in terms of how much the supplier actually charges you for those goods if you buy more volume. And so all those things, factor together to overall decrease your total costs, improve your overall margin, and that gives you a better break-even ROAS, a better break-even CPA, giving you so much more leverage to scale. And so if we look at an example like this, say, using all those same numbers that I just showed you right there, if we spent $9,000 and we had an 80-cent cost per click, which as you can see isn't crazy to generate an 80-cent cost per click. It's a good ad for sure. It's not crazy. That would be 11,000 people, which would be about 9,000 people on the website after the drop off there, which would be about a 3% conversion rate. Let's say we had a 3% conversion rate on our website. I'll even drop that down so it's a bit more reasonable. Let's just say 2% or maybe even I'll do 1.5 just to kind of show you here. So if we did a 1.5% conversion rate, that would be about $27,000 in value, and our cost of goods would be about 54. Gross profit after ad costs would be about 10 grand in this case, right? Which is a pretty common result that we see, and a lot of brands honestly spend 10,000 and have results like this. Not super scalable, but definitely not bad, and that's kind of typical, right? And so if you had a lifetime value of 400 though, that would be about $32,000 in more profit that you could be confident that you're going to get just because customers are going to spend more money with you once you get them in the door, right? And so this is what can allow you to scale really aggressively, even though, as you can see, the ROAS goes down as you scale right here. You're making so much more in LTV right here that ultimately it makes sense to keep on scaling maybe to about that 30,000 per month point. And if you adjust this up, right, so let's say, instead of 200, this was 1,000, all right, which is obviously pretty crazy. All right, so instead of 200 now, we are at $1,000 with an LTV of 1,500, which is quite high for most brands, anyways. But if you think about Apple, their LTV is well over $1,000, or their average order value is well over $1,000. Their LTV is probably over $10,000 in most cases, right? And so they have so much room here. But in this case, $9,000 at that average order value at that conversion rate would result in about a 15 ROAS, so pretty similar to the examples that I showed you. And overall, their business is just in such a better spot to scale, where even if they had a decreasing efficiency right here with their ad spend, if they went all the way to $33,000 right here, they'd still be at a 9 ROAS. They'd be about $200,000 in profit. They would generate about $300,000 in revenue at this spend, and they could continue to push that and scale that further, right? And so that's the big difference there between the smaller brands that can't scale, the bigger ones that can. A lot of it comes down to the business economics. Okay, and so the ways to improve your economics of your business if you cannot scale and your Facebook ads aren't working: increase your average order value. Look at how you can package or bundle something, or cross-sell or whatever it needs to be to increase that average order value. Look at how you can decrease your COGS, so your cost of goods sold. So increasing your price decreases your cost of goods sold, from a percentage standpoint. And so also, if you can order a bigger volume of shipments, or you can find a way to simplify your product down, that's a good way that you can decrease COGS. And then look at increasing your LTV as well. So adding in some type of retention offer, some type of way that once you acquire a customer, you can continue to make revenue from them in some way. Huge ways to actually scale your business. And so if your Facebook ads aren't working, it comes down to these 3 reasons. There's literally no other reasons. It's these 3 reasons right here. So look at, where is it breaking in the funnel for you? What is the biggest hole in your bucket in that sense? And look to fix that hole to some degree. And that's going to give you so much more room to scale your ads, right? A lot of people just focus on the ads, and they think if they improve their ads by 100%, all of a sudden their business is going to be super profitable. It might not be the case. It's better leverage to actually go ahead and fix the economics of your business, and then your ads will be so much more profitable without you even changing your ads. Now, if you have any questions about any of this, leave me a comment below. I get back to every comment personally, so I'm happy to help you down there. And also, if you're a brand that's spending over $10,000 per month and you want help scaling your ads and getting consulting on all of these different things so that we can identify the biggest hole in your bucket to help you scale further, then check out the links in the description and apply to work with me and my team, and we're happy to see if we can help you scale. And if you want to learn more about advertising in general, best strategies to set up better ads, better campaign structures, better ad creatives, check out this video. I think you're really going to like it.